Hey guys, it's Amy at Zoe back, and I'm going to do my September book haul part 1. So this is going to be all the used books that I got this month. I got 7 of them. So I bought a lot of new ones too, so I'll do that in another video, but these are the ones I bought at used bookstores, and actually they all came from the same one. They all came from Pals, because again, I live too close, and it's awesome to be so close. Anyway, so I'm just gonna kind of go through these. Some of these I have talked about in my Victober TBR, so you'll see some of those, but I'll mention those first. So again, I got a copy of Agnes Grey by Bronte. This is my first Anne Bronte book that I'm going to attempt to read. I decided to go for the shorter one to see what happens. I think it's about a woman who works in some household, and things are not really, they don't treat her very well is all I know. And it's short, and I figure I was going to try Anne Bronte. I just hadn't got around to her yet, so I picked that up for pretty cheap. I also got an Elizabeth Gaskell. Actually, I got 2 of them. So this is the first one. I got a bind-up of Cranford and Cousin Phyllis. I'd heard about Cranford from some other channels, but this one was just bind up with one of our other novellas, so I just got it because it was cheap, and I got both of them in one thing. So I don't know a huge amount about Cousin Phyllis. I know Cranford. No, I don't actually know. I just know the name more. And again, this is again one of my first Elizabeth Gaskells that I'll actually read, hopefully. Again, Victober is next month. Here we go. I also got Gothic Tales by Elizabeth Gaskell, and I know that these are very different from her novels. So I thought, what the heck? So I got this book of, as I said, I thought it would be kind of cool to have some short stories. Again, I'm trying to read short stories. I'm really bad about them. I really usually like longer pieces, but I thought with Gothic Tales, it sounded more up my alley of what I would want to read for short stories, which should be at least more stuff going on pretty quickly. So we'll see. Again, an author I just picked up that I want to try. And I also picked up The Professor by Charlotte Bronte. I don't know why I picked this up. I have not heard anything about it except that I thought it was interesting. It was a book that she'd written it was the only one that she wrote from a male perspective book, and I think it's actually one of her first. So I don't know, maybe I just misread that. Yeah, no, it was her first novel, so I knew I'd read that somewhere. So anyway, I don't know much about it. It has to do with the professor at I believe at an all-girls school, and who falls in love with one of his pupils. So I don't know how that's going to go. I kind of want to see from her how she would write it in that day and age, and because I'm not really big on those kind of stories, but again, it's a Charlotte Bronte, so I thought I would try it. Then I picked up kind of a, well, I don't even know if I guess you'd call it a paranormal romance. I know it's romance with dragons. Anyway, so this is kind of, actually it's more fantasy, kind of fantasy romance. I don't know. So this is About a Dragon by G.A. Aiken, and I read some of her stuff under her another name that she writes under, but these ones are funny. I read the first book that had 2 stories to it, and I think this is just one whole novel on the same story this time. And again, it's about a dragon, and I think he saves a witch who's about to be killed by some of her neighbors or whatever, but it's like a total fantasy thing, and it's just fun. It's just, as I said, I like things to escape, and this is, once in a while, these are kind of funny, and she's hilarious. They're funny because they're just so funny characters usually. I just like her so much. Sorry. And then I got Legend by David Gemmell. I don't know a whole lot about this. One of my subscribers, thank you very much, recommended me to look at this. I would call you out, but unfortunately, because of my computer I lost all my notes on who I got this from, so I'm so sorry, but I am going to try this here pretty soon. All I know about this one is a fantasy with a warrior who was, I think he, had his glory days, and then he said he retired, and then they asked him to come back to fight a lost cause, and that's about all I know. I think it's the beginning of a series. I'm not quite sure. At least it seemed like that from the back, but I'm not sure, but I thought I'd give it a try, and it sounded interesting, so. and I found it really cheap, so that was another good thing. And then I also got a book that was going to try to read for getting Hygge with it. April's dying to read. I think it's reading book club on her Goodreads group, and it was Shutter Island by Dennis Lehane this month, and I just didn't get to this, but I bought the book. So I never watched the Leonardo DiCaprio film. I wasn't really into doing that, but I thought the premise sounded interesting. So all I know is that it's 1954 and some marshals are going on to some island. I guess there's a hospital for the criminally insane, and there's some mystery going on, and I hear it's really good. I'll probably get to it pretty soon just because I've heard a lot about it from that book club, but I just didn't get to it this month. But I now got a copy. Again, I got it really cheap, so that's pretty good. So anyway, so that is part one of my book hauls. So those are the used books I got this month. I have not read any of these yet, which is kind of sad, but as I said, most of those were for Victober, so I got them ready to go for this coming month. So hey, have you read any of these books? What did you guys think? Anything good? Let me know. Bye.